Hello and welcome in.
Please do not leave your luggage unattended on the station.
Welcome to the show. Hey everybody, welcome in. Guerilla Sports Off Ice Avalanche post-game edition. 4-3. The Avs fall in overtime. The Avs fall in overtime has quickly become like one of my most used phrases of the early part of this season. 4-3. But Megan, you give the Avs credit for, again, clawing back, getting a point in a game that maybe a lot of people probably had as a scheduled loss. New Jersey's one of the top teams in the league. It's your first back-to-back of the season, 22 hours in between puck drop. Trent Miner starting in net. With all due respect to Trent Miner, I think there's a lot of people that have looked at all those factors and said, yeah, scheduled loss for the Avs. They grind out a point. Brock Nelson gets a goal. But I just kind of want your quick overall thoughts on this game and yet another overtime loss for the Avalanche.
They're inching forward in ways like, because we've seen the Boston game, Utah game, Carolina game, I think there are some things that, like individual storylines that have improved, to include Brock Nelson breaking through from that second line. But they're still not completely getting all the lessons. And so for them not to be able to break through the OT or just outside of regulation loss is tough, because this has to be a resilient group. They are clawing their way back into games when they've fallen behind, and then they're losing. And that just has to be a little bit defeating. It definitely is frustrating to watch. Because then there's other things you go back to, like, maybe if some of those power plays earlier in the game,
right,
they capitalized on, because that's an area of concern that we focus on a little bit right now. And so it's not perfect, but it's also what? This is game 10? Or
game 10, yep.
This is game 10. It's exactly the time of the season for these things to be happening. So as long as one lesson gets learned each step of the way, it's at least a step forward. But it's really sad to see them work so hard, have a lot of the right process, and not get rewarded with the win.
So here's why I don't care about losing 3-on-3 overtime games in the regular season. And here's why I honestly don't even think that you should really put much emphasis on practicing them or, shootouts or that. Those aren't a thing in the playoffs. You play 5-on-5 till you get a winner. So them not being good at 3-on-3 isn't necessarily a concern for me. That said, it's what you just mentioned. It's those little moments throughout a game that you look at, you go, yeah, if you're a little bit better on your power play, if you're a little bit more, careful on some of these giveaways, again, and I'm just plucking little small examples, sit there and say, yeah, those are 2-point games. It's impressive. It's impressive as hell that they are points in 9 of 10. That's really good.
It is.
Especially they've played good teams. They've had a weird schedule, weird travel to start. Points in 9 of 10, especially, I think you mentioned it. That's a really funny comment that just came in. You mentioned it of like, these are oh, damn, I lost my train of thought because of that comment.
You were going to refer to something I said
about,
and you were addressing the record on the whole and how it's actually pretty good.
Doesn't matter. That was how last year started.
Yeah.
How last year started. You start 0-4, and you were immediately trying to dig yourself out of a hole. The Avs aren't in that position. You have some things to clean up. And yeah, your power play needs to be a little bit better. And, Megan, here's what I will say. It didn't work when it was Mikko Rantanen, and it doesn't work when it was Marty Necas. I get why on paper, Cale Makar, Nathan MacKinnon, Marty Necas would make up a great 3-on-3 unit. I said it didn't work when it was Mikko Rantanen. It's not working now when it's Marty Necas, and I do think that that's a combination that they probably need to go away from for 3-on-3 overtime. But to me, that is the least of my concern when you look at this game and when you look at power plays and, the fact that it was a small window of sloppiness in the first period that really put you behind the 8 ball. That's the stuff that you got to clean up. Love the comment here that says divots instead of holes this year.
Yes, because
Completely agree.
that hole that they had to climb out of had the looming issue of what is the goaltending between Georgiev and Annunen. What is going to happen? And then what happened to Casey Middlestat after the opening 10 games? There's a crazy fall off. He never quite recovered. So the looming concerns over this team, it's interesting, right? Like the power play is a concern, but the personnel, it's more befuddling. Like, why isn't this working? This, I think, any team in the league would like to pluck those players and put them on their power play, and it would probably work. It would be effective. They're highly effective guys. Something weird is happening on the Avs power play right now.
Well, and this is also and again, I don't think that this is something that's exclusive to the Avs power play. You see these types of trends happen to individual players, to teams, to lines. Making the Avs power, it's in their heads right now too.
Obviously,
it's very much in their heads of like, can't get it to go. We can't get it to go. We can't get it to go. I think that's part of what leads to the overpassing. And just weird decision making on the broadcast. They made mention of like, Marty Netchus was trying to thread that needle through for one last pass. There was 3 sticks in lane. He couldn't quite get it there. It's like, yeah, there's 3 sticks in the lane. Of course he can't get it there. And I think that's a result of them overthinking, them gripping the stick maybe a little bit too tight.
Yeah. According to Natural Stat Trick, 3 shots over 2 power plays tonight, and it comes from Makar, Nichushkin, and Olofsson. It's a little concerning when Nate doesn't register a shot. Marty doesn't register a shot. And I think after we discussed this too, like ahead of the road trip, right? We want to see them build momentum since they capitalized on the power play against Carolina. Like we want to see them just continue to build some confidence and ride that high. And unfortunately, it's just kind of trailed off from that point. And special teams do this. It's just going to take, that spark catching fire for it to stay lit. And it just hasn't quite happened yet. But it is frustrating and it is confusing. I do think it's in their heads. I also think, now I don't know that I'd agree that we should take, what were they saying, Nate and Marty off the top power play unit?
Yeah.
Specifically, but I actually do think a change would be interesting. And the only reason I'm saying this is the Eagles were 0 for 14 on their power play after opening night. When Jack O'Shawn and Daniil Gushin got recalled, they put Sean Behrens on the top power play unit and went 3 for 3. Wyatt Ahmet also helped too. Where I'm going with this is sometimes when they're in a rut, they need to switch things up. Look at what happened with the lines tonight. When they shook that up, and honestly, Jared Bednar continued to shake it up throughout the game, right? We see Ross Colton with Brock Nelson, Val Nichushkin. We liked Victor Olofsson there, but Ross Colton added something different, gets that line rewarded with a goal. I do think that that's the conversation maybe I'm looking at with the power play. And I don't think it's as simple as putting Val back on the tap unit. That was a good starting point because Jared addressed this, right? Like, well, I've already, I've moved Val a little bit. I think we need to see a little more movement between the units and see what happens.
Well, and I just, to me, it's one of those things where it's like, hey, if you wanted to put Marty with that second unit in the Nathan McKinnon shooter spot, I'm open to that, as an idea and, whatever. But like, you don't solve your power play problems by taking the puck out of the hands of your best players.
No, but maybe put Lecky back with Nate on the top unit.
That was one that I didn't understand why they moved away from it. That was how preseason, and I believe even the regular season started in LA, was Lecky with that top unit. I didn't understand that change, but this is one of those things that when I look at it, I say the power play is going to end up being resolved in the hands of Cale Makar, Nathan McKinnon, Marty Netchus, Val Nichushkin, Gabe Landeskog. And maybe that's your unit. I don't know. Maybe that's what you go with your top unit. But I think Jared Bednar is trying to spread the wealth around a little bit, and it's not working.
No, but like Lehkonen and McKinnon have a psychic instinct for each other.
Right,
they can find each other on the ice. They communicate telepathically. So return to that. That's a pretty special connection. I think Marty and Nate have a special connection too, but it's building in real time right now. And so I don't want to rob them of that opportunity either. But if confidence starts to dip too low, they're in a rut. Like you said, they're in their heads. And so I think it's a slump buster. Like they need to just go back to a Lehkonen McKinnon connection that is trusted, get the confidence back up, and then we can see a Marty Netchus maybe return to that unit so that they can continue to build chemistry, and they can continue to build chemistry 5v5 too. Like I think that translates to power play as well. So I think that's why Lehkonen should be on the top unit, at least for some time.
Well, and I also just gotta, I normally don't even address this kind of stuff, Megan, but I've seen several comments in there, including one saying the missed points are stacking up. They're not. They're not. Like the I want to just make sure to reiterate this. The Avs are in excellent shape from a standings perspective, from a points perspective. They're tied for second in the league, and the two teams that technically sit ahead of them are on crazy win streaks. They both started the season on shaky ground. The Devils are one of them, who have won now 8 in a row. And after starting the season 1-2, Utah has won 6 in a row. That's not, you're not going to just keep winning games in 6 and 8 game chunks. And in the same way, the Avs were going to end this season with more than 4 overtime losses across 82 games. I think you said at the top of this, these are the type of things, types of games, type of mistakes. Get them out of the way now.
In the first 10 game segment.
Learn from some of these lessons. Jared Bednar says that in every 10 game segment, we want to gather 12 points or more. 12 points or more, and we really like where it's going to position us. The Avs pulled 14 points out of this 10 game segment. Only once did they not collect a point. There are early season things to look at here and say, yeah, the Avs got to clean it up. The power play has to figure it out. What's the phrase? It's getting late early. Like, yep, power play, you can totally easily shake that off, say no big deal. But we're, rapidly heading towards November 1st. And once that calendar, for me, Megan, tips over into November, you want to start seeing real progress on, areas that you need to improve. The month of October, in my opinion, Megan, is about figuring out where all this stuff is. And certain teams, it's figuring out what kind of team do we have, what players we have, where are the holes on our rosters. For other teams like the Avs, it's okay. Where are we doing things well? Where can we get better? And how do we do that? So the Avs with points in 9 of 10, as we got that super chat coming in, points in 9 of 10, collected 14 points in a 10 game segment, which is clear over what Jared Bednar likes to get them at. Let's see that super chat. A bit frustrated with Bednar here between the choice to start Wedgwood against Boston and putting 88 and 29 together for 3-on-3. What are we doing here? $5 from L.A. That was great. Big shout out. Thank you. I'm with you on the 88 and 29. I don't know what the issue was with starting Wedgwood against Boston. Would you have liked to see Wedgie in this game and Trent yesterday, Megan?
Yes. And I feel bad. It's always easy to say that in hindsight.
Right.
But Wedgie just had such a weird game in Boston. And I think that Minor would have been normaler. And
I guess the one area where I can agree with that is like give Trent the reward game.
Right. He still gets a unique start
right after the game that he played
Carolina. And I just, in seeing the losing skid Boston was on and knowing they're still going to come hungry, though, it still would have been a challenge for Trent Minor. It would have been his own unique start. Like it would still be a reward. And I think the experience of Wedgwood would have translated to this game. But I don't know. I'm still proud of Trent Minor. This is a tough break. Like he makes that save on Dougie Hamilton, I think it is, in OT, the glove save. It just doesn't come up. He comes up a save short at the end of the day.
Well, and that OT goal, and we're actually seeing the replay right here. Again, like it was another I saw someone talking about it, and they had a graph to back it up. I don't have the graph here in front of me. Go ahead.
Sorry.
No.
ADHD thought. I also wondered, though, if this was important for Wedgwood's confidence to see, hey, I know Carolina didn't go well. We pulled you. We still believe in you. Like, we're giving you that very next start.
Megan, I think that's absolutely what it was. And I think we should come back to that
Okay.
Real quick. But, like, the Avs, they're playing really well for vast majority of these games. They're having lulls within games that are costing them, which isn't.
It's not ideal.
It's not ideal, and it's not something completely unfamiliar. We've seen that before, but I do also think that there is a bit of the Avs are ending up on the wrong side of a lot of PDO moments here for sure.
Yes, I was thinking like 80% process, 20% luck has decided some of these games.
I completely agree, and like even that play coming out of the zone, Cale Makar actually makes a really nice play to get that puck up the wall to Marty. Marty goes to glove it down, and it looks like it hits the tip of his finger, so it kind of goes backwards. And then that shot ends up going shelf over Trent Miner's shoulder because Cale Makar gets a stick on it, and it ramps up off his stick and goes up over. So again, it's a bad turnover at 3-on-3. I'm not excusing that. Like, you have to be more careful with the puck. You've got to take care of it better. You got to get up and out of your zone. Doesn't happen. Bad turnover. Weird bounce off Marty's glove. Weird ramp off of Cale's stick, and it's in the back of your net, and it's over. There's a level of that too that, again, I really feel like it all started with the Dallas game, Megan, where it felt like every last bounce broke for Dallas. Jumped this way for Dallas. One extra, skip over a stick for Dallas. Ever since then, it really does feel like the Avs are fighting a fair amount of bad luck, which, again, is not bad luck. Wasn't why they lost yesterday in Boston, but I do think that's a part of it too. When you watch even the breakaway goal in this game, a blocked shot and a clearing attempt sits on a platter in the neutral zone for Connor Brown to get a running start breakaway. Like there's a PDO element to what's happening with the Avs right now too.
No, I think so too. And that's why I've been really triggered because the Avs are playing so well. And I'm excited about a lot of aspects of this team. But there have been several games where they've been the better team in terms of process. And I remember this Jared Bednar quote really stuck with me too when we would talk about the 5v5 possession. And he's like, well, we're not out there to play keep away. Like, we want to win games.
Yeah.
And so I'm sitting here like, they're leading the shots battle and they're controlling possession and they're creating the most high danger chances. And they're not always getting rewarded because, teams are capitalizing on the mistakes early. The Avs have launched these impressive comebacks, claw their way back in, and they still fall short. And it's reminiscent of the Dallas series. That's where I'm getting so triggered. I go back to like game 2 in the Dallas series where I thought the Avs deserved to win that game and how they played, and they just didn't benefit from, they weren't on the right side of puck luck.
Yep.
And it's triggering because I still haven't fully healed from it. And what I think will be really very rewarding for them is the fact that it's happening in the opening 10 games. And, early in the season, this will be good for them to have memory recall of later in the year. To find ways out of these situations, it's good learning lessons that they can afford to learn them now versus in the playoffs when that margin for error is so thin. So it's frustrating to see it play out very similarly to that Dallas series early here. But there's a part of me that thinks future Megan will be very grateful for this.
Well, and that comment that just came on the screen, you have to make your own luck and they have to keep responding to the adversity. They will have to on one.
Yep.
I agree with all those statements there. And I think you make your own luck, you earn your bounces. And there's also times where hockey Jesus is just cruel and takes that away from you.
You have to be ready for that.
And what I do like, people can say what they want. You can feel how you want about the Avs. You can have the, criticisms of the power play, the 3-on-3. It's all valid. I'm not going to dispute any of it. They're battling and they are fighting adversity. In
they're staying in these games.
Right. And in all but one, it's a group that has found a way to extend the game. Now, again, these games that people are upset about, and again, I'm not telling you not to be 3-on-3. It's not really well. Guess what? If this was May, we'd be getting ready to drop the puck on a 5-on-5 overtime period right now. And through 10 games, I think you'd be hard pressed to find someone who wouldn't agree. The Avs have been the better 5-on-5 team in almost every game they've played. So again, that's why I just look at it and say you're overcoming adversity. This is a team that's learning how to battle back, not give up in games. They're overcoming 1-goal deficits, weird fluky bounces, 3-goal deficits, early leads, late leads. Like they're finding ways to battle back, and they're continuing to be hard to play against. And as we got another one coming in here, another super chat. Let's see it. Going with what we were saying. If there are losses, I'm okay with. It's back-to-back East Coast matinees with backup goalies in October.
Yes.
Happy for Brock. Hasn't been as advertised yet, in my opinion. We addressed that, Megan, in the second intermission right before you correctly predicted the Brock Nelson goal. That, hey, he's been good. Not quite as advertised. A little bit more to give. Let's talk about Brock. Although, real quick, I agree with the first part of that comment as well. Back-to-back afternoon games, your backup goalie, your AHL starter.
I do kind of want to punctuate that too, because like in talking about, maybe we don't appreciate how different this is from how they started last season with the looming goalie concerns. We don't have the looming goalie concerns. Mackenzie Blackwood, I know his status has been confusing because it's been like he's on the doorstep of returning for a little bit now, so it's just confusing as to when exactly. Just that he's close, but he will return. That's the nice part in all of this. And even though Wedgwood's been a little shaky the last 2 games he's played, the body of work in addition to that, I think, has been impressive. So, I'm not saying Mackenzie's going to have to earn the net back, but I think what Scott Wedgwood has done with his starts coming out the gate has still been very impressive.
I mean, I would argue, and we don't know this, but I would argue that they've probably slow played Mackenzie's return to game action because of what Scott Wedgwood has been able to give you. And it's probably taken a bit of that emphasis off. And I'll even say this yesterday, Megan. Scott Wedgwood, you don't love the 3 goals in the first period. Doesn't give one up after that. Battles. Comes up with a really big glove save in the crease to keep it at 3-1. Like even that, he's continuing to battle, and I think that's what you're seeing for the Avs on the whole. Like I said, I didn't like yesterday's game, so maybe that one excluded. But
I think it's a great point with goaltenders of years past, where if they don't have a great start to a game, it gets in their head and they can't bounce back. I think Wedgwood is really good at setting that aside. I don't think it spirals out of control quite the same way. And I think too, like the next Wedgwood start we see will be very revealing of how Wedgwood emotionally responds to a couple shaky outings. Because I do think that him staying with it in the Boston game is significant from a goaltender perspective. And to your point, it's also a greater reflection of what this team is doing when they have to claw their way back in. They are fighting. And it's pretty consistent after that point. I just hate that it takes them kind of falling behind in some way, making some sort of a mistake or experiencing bad luck that is maybe bringing some of that out.
All right. I've got 3 or 4, depending on how you answer each one. 3 or 4 kind of rapid fire things here for you to end the show. Do you want to get to anything else before I throw some rapid fire at you?
Potentially not, in case they're addressed in the rapid fire.
Okay. All right. Let's start with Val Nichushkin. Boy, his game has been ramping up, and we've gone from saying we want to see more out of that second line to Val Nichushkin really driving that bus. A massive performance against Carolina, and he's just kind of kept it going, gets a goal again today. Your thoughts on what we've seen from Val in the last week?
This is Val at true form. I think too, getting him to that place is part of why we get to see the lines change up a bit today. Some of it's also out of necessity, but he is doing so well that I think Jared Bednar wants to strengthen him. And so I think adding a little bit of energy with Ross Colton there at points tonight and adding a little bit of another high-end shooting threat with Victor Olofsson at points tonight, it is to bolster what Val Nichushkin is doing right now, because individually he is a force to be reckoned with. And I think this is Val Nichushkin getting to the level of play we're used to seeing him at.
We mentioned it when it happened. Ross Colton picks up an assist on the Brock Nelson goal. A beautiful pass with a little bit of deception, some hesitation in there, and then just lays it on a tee. There was a bit of a switch. There was some blending going on there in the third period, and Ross Colton ends up on the ice out there with Brock Nelson, Val Nichushkin. Is this just another show of, hey, this is why we have talked so much about getting Ross Colton with some skill guys? Seems like every time he gets that shot in an elevated role with those more high, kind of high-end offensive players, he seems to be more noticeable, have more of an impact.
Yeah, I think 2 of the New Jersey goals early in the game were these quick strike attack. And I think the energy that Ross Colton plays with enables him to be that type of a player. And so for Brock Nelson to gain the zone on that play, Ross Colton has the engine to get to that puck, but he has the skill too, and that patience then to decide how he wants to get that puck across to Brock Nelson. And I think that is why he's there. He adds something just a little bit different. You mentioned this, I think, off air too, but it is interesting to see what Ross Colton does when he is elevated in the lineup with high-end talent. He can hang with those guys. He has the high-end offensive tools himself, but he's also got that energy and that motor that I think adds a little bit of a spark. And so in talking about maybe the stagnancy of that second line at points, he makes a lot of sense there too. And obviously that gets rewarded with a goal pretty quickly.
We saw a different combination start overtime, but it is eventually the Netchus, McKinnon, Makar combination. That again, I get, there's 3-on-3. There's a lot more room. Nate's trying to make a play, make something happen. Do those 3 guys feel too samey to you? For a 3-on-3 unit, I'd personally like to see Val thrown in there with Nate, split up him and Marty a bit, but just a quick thought on that overtime combination.
Well, just like given what New Jersey has to offer in overtime and how strong Jake Allen played tonight, I understand that you want some of your best scoring threats on the ice to win the game, but you also have to help protect Trent Miner, who is very green and has had some vulnerabilities that have been picked up on in this game. So I do think I would move to a different threesome on the ice. That has, yes, you still want the guy who's going to put the puck in the back of the net, but I think you have to have guys who have the strong two-way game out there represented as well. Just keeping in mind the offensive threats on New Jersey's side and helping out Trent Miner a little bit.
Trent Miner, just real quick, he does make a really nice glove save in overtime. You and I had talked in the second intermission that it was clear New Jersey had picked up on something going glove side. They beat him all 3 times right in that same spot, and eventually in overtime as well. It does beat him high glove on the short side, but he makes a big save in overtime. Like you said, I believe it was on Dougie Hamilton on that exact same play. Credit to Trent Miner. We said during second intermission, I'm sure UC Parkola is in that locker room saying, hey, this is where they're going. They're going to try to pull you this way, shoot back. And you said, keep that glove up. Makes a big save. Where I'm going with this, Megan, couple good performances for Trent. We know Mackenzie Blackwood is on his way back. Trent Miner is not waiver exempt. I know how I feel. Where are you at with Trent? Should folks be worried that he may get claimed once Mackenzie Blackwood is back healthy?
It's tough. We talked about it a little bit. I want to hope that there's still enough obscurity around what Trent Miner is. Like, we know what he is in following this organization closely. I obviously watch a ton of Eagles games. I have a lot of trust in Trent Miner. But I don't know that on paper, to an outsider, he would command the same trust. And I'm saying that in a hopeful way. I believe a lot in Trent Miner. But it would be a huge loss to the goaltending depth if he was claimed. And so I'm really banking on some of that lack of information, hopefully working in the Avs organization favor to get him through waivers without issue.
Well, and here's my thing on it. With all due respect to Trent Miner and what he's done for this organization and how well he's come in and played, Megan, if I told you, hey, the Avs are in some, goaltender, if this was last season, and you're looking for a spark there, I don't know how confident you'd feel about Trent Miner suddenly being your number 2.
Right.
And if you're going to make a waiver claim, that player is on your roster for the next 30 days, at least. I just look at this and say, I'll bet you there's a ton of teams that are saying, yeah, I would love to have Trent Miner as our third. That's just not really going to be much of an option if you're claiming this guy on waivers. So I think maybe that could be where the Avs are hopeful here.
At an advantage.
Right. Like, yeah, there's a lot of guys that would love him as their AHL starter. Don't quite know if he's quite to that, NHL backup level yet.
And the goaltending depth drops off. Like, I know Nabokov is still waiting in the ranks, but for right now, like Posh and Kaiser out in Loveland are very green. So this is important for the Avs to keep Trent Miner.
Yep. All right. Then last thing I got for you here, and then we do have a super chat we'll get to. Looks like our guy Vaguely's in here. A lot of talk about the power play. Rightfully. It's continuing to struggle clicking along at just 10.8%, Megan. However, as you and I continue to key in on, special teams battle in general is the important part to win. The Avs have a top 6 penalty kill right now, going at almost 90%, 88.9. I just want to stop and take a second to give some flowers to the penalty kill. There's a lot of areas that we're looking at saying, yeah, this team needs to find a way to get better. They have technically lost 4 in a row. Penalty kill is one area where it's like, yeah, keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, I really like to. They've been able to give different guys looks on the PK. I've obviously liked what Brock Nelson has added to it. But I've liked the continued work from players like Drury, Parker Kelly, Arturi Lehkonen when he spots in, Val Nichushkin when he spots in.
Brock Nelson. Did you already say Brock Nelson?
At the top, because, he's kind of the new face there, but he's fit in really well. Even seeing Gavin Brindley spot shift on there. I've seen Ross Colton briefly, not tonight, but I've liked what everyone has done. It seems like they have a really good understanding of what the kill is trying to accomplish. So no matter the changing personnel at times, they're really bought in. And I think it's a more aggressive kill too, than we've seen before. And it's really intelligent. So I think a lot of the reads, and it's allowed some shorthanded opportunities. And so in the absence of Logan O'Connor, I think it's significant then, also know you'll give Rantanen. So for the kill to continue to have success without 2 really key penalty killers is a testament to how bought in they are right now.
I'm with you. Let's get that last super chat up here. My eyesight isn't quite good enough. 1.52 giveaways. Am I seeing that right? GVA? Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you. Woo. All right. 15. Okay. All right. 15.2 giveaways in the last 10 games.
Per game?
Wait, per
15.
Oh, per stat means. Okay. I'm sorry.
Game.
I need a fresh prescription. That is for sure. So yeah, I'm sorry. 15. Wait, hold on. Now I'm confused. 152 giveaways, 15.2 per game. Gotcha. Yeah, that's got to be better.
Wow, that's a lot. I know too, like, there have been a few games where it's been the leaders.
Marty Netchus throwing pucks in the middle of the ice.
I know.
Just throwing them.
See, that's where I think he thinks he has a telepathic connection with his teammates. And I think
I
think he can.
Yes.
So like I described, Lehkonen and McKinnon, they're communicating telepathically. There have been some connections between McKinnon and Netchus. Like, wow, how did they find each other? And it doesn't always work. So I think they're still tapping in.
I mean, Megan, there was a play in this game where Marty threw that puck just into the middle of the ice where nobody was even close. And you and I were like, that would have been cool if someone was there, like, skating downhill with speed. And so when you just said that about, like, it's a guy who, like, feels like he's got that telepathic,
right.
I'm watching him, like, and it's one of those things where he looks like, oh, this is going to be dope. Oh, nobody's there. Like,
and that, that is a high end player that's like, oh, I need other guys who, are on the same wavelength as me.
Right.
And I think McKinnon is, just not always. And Nathan McKinnon can't teleport. So haven't unlocked that superpower yet. I shouldn't rule it out.
Don't count him out.
Right. But this is where I think, look, let that chemistry continue to build 5v5. don't force it on the power play if it's not quite working just yet. Honestly, too, I think I would diagnose the problems on the power play a bit differently. I think they're just overpassing in search of the perfect play. But all that to say, I think it'll get there for Marty Netches. He hasn't fully tapped into the McKinnon wavelength.
Yep, not quite. And again, if you're at the first 10 game mark and you're sitting there saying, okay, well, what are things that they need to clean up? If one of the items on that list is the Nate and Marty wavelength needs to be strengthened, you're in pretty good shape. So first 10 game segment is done, folks. Avs are 5-1-4 heading in to the second 10 game segment. The Avs currently sit third in the NHL. So overall, Megan, it's a successful first 10 game segment. You're trying to get 12 points out of each one. And the Avs started off with 14. So in good shape to start the year. Definitely areas of this team's game they got to get cleaned up.
Yeah.
Got anything else for today?
No. Okay, sorry. This was just a cool thing, but the switch of Victor Olofsson and Ross Colton at different points in the game both resulted in a goal.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's just fun that even with Victor Olofsson working out with Val Nichushkin earlier in the game, giving Ross Colton that look wasn't any sort of like a punishment to Victor Olofsson, and it paid off. Like that was a good read, I guess, a good coaching decision. Because we'll probably talk about the overtime, like that was not a good coaching decision. Why did you put those three guys out? But I do think that Jared Bednar decided to be bold and brave today with mixing up the lines, and that did pay off.
Just had a comment there. Avs started last year 5-5 after digging themselves out of the 0-4 start. 5-1-4 this season. And Megan, I'll remind everyone, 4-5-1 in the Stanley Cup year. First 10 games are always going to be about shaking the cobwebs off and finding your game and figuring out where it is that you need to put emphasis and where it is you can say, hey, we're off to a good start here. We can build on this. So successful 10-game segment for the Avs coming out well ahead of where they were this time last year. That's going to do it on this Sunday afternoon. She's Meghan Angley. I'm Jesse Montano. We got Dan Webb back there behind the glass, making sure you guys can see us and hear us, and broadcasting our thoughts into all of your lovely ear holes. That's going to do it for today. We'll be back at it tomorrow.
Wow.
With a pod. It's today's Sunday. Tomorrow's Monday. We'll be right back at it tomorrow. Right here. Guerrilla Sports Off Ice. Thanks so much for tuning in, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Have a good one. See ya.